You should be able to hear me as well. That's the plan as of now. So let's see what's going to happen with the markets. It's going to be pretty interesting, though. That I'm pretty certain about. No, it's going to get pretty interesting. So let's see. Let me just go over. Let me put in a poll. Let's see what the poll is. It's going to be a different kind of a poll. It's going to be a different kind. Let's see. Let's put it in. Drop in. Say hi. How's it going? What is poll and Jason? I'm always there, man. We're always racing, bro. Always. How's it been going, Jason? How have you been? Let me go ahead and give you some of that. There you go. That's for you. Yeah, been a pretty, I wouldn't say not interesting, but like really, it's making me wonder if we're topping out for now. Like, there's just no movement on the S&P 500. You're pretty much at, you're pretty much like just making lower highs and higher lows, and you're just staying in that range while some of these stocks are going parabolic, right? Core weave is one that's making me, I don't know, it's giving me signs of like we might have an intermediate top for now, maybe in the semis in the industrial space. I'm getting more complacent to the concept that if we don't start having better news, we are going to start most likely heading lower. And but again, then I don't mean, right. I mean, Jason, you know what I've been saying since a while now. We're not trying to say 5,000's coming, right? I've been buying a few positions over the past few days as well. So we're not saying 5,000's coming. Well, maybe 5,600. Maybe go and fill that gap there. That seems more likely something that may or may not happen, right? Let me just go ahead and put in the poll, Jason. So, and let's go ahead and vote for that. Let me see what's happening here. Just let me know if you're able to hear me clearly, though, and see me clearly. I'm trying to stream it horizontally now. Let's see how that helps. Okay, this one's a little. There wasn't too much to talk about the markets in general. So we're gonna go with the markets, obviously, because underlying there has been a few things that I do want to speak about. Uh, Also, if you do get a chance, go ahead and watch the 5-minute Buffett video I put up yesterday. And also, as a postscript, that the background is real. So a lot of people ask me saying, "Is the background like, is it AI or what is it?" I said, "No, that's the background. That's where I am." Oh yeah, that's what. So I started doing it now horizontally. Let's see how that helps. Let's see. A lot of people told me that tuning in, like a few of them told me that tuning in from the laptop. So I said, okay, cool. Let me try this for you guys. Let's see. If it doesn't work, we'll just go back to what we're used to. Right. Okay, there you go. You should be able to see the. Yeah, maybe let's make it 4. Right. I usually like doing four options. Trying to make it a bit like, stupid thing that I came up with the other day. So right. There you go. You should be able to see the poll in. What? Yup. We have the poll there. There you go. So the poll's there. So we got that in. Oh, Jason, trust me. I'm going to get to your ADP question though. But Jason says it's just the beginning soon. You'll be a big time streamer with hundreds waiting to join in Premiere with trading setups and hundreds waiting. The studio can't wait to comment then that I was there first. Trust me, bro. Even in that, I will find your message and make sure that you're pinned to the top. That I will do. Trust me. You've been there when like no one's there. You will be there when everyone's there as well. Let me just go ahead and yeah, so we got the poll. So that's out there. I'm so sure Jason was the one that went and said redder than my dating life. Oh Lord. Yeah, so if you do get a chance, Jason, go ahead, watch the power of compounding one, the 5-minute one. I mean, you're pretty much already on that path, so you don't really need any motivation or anything to help you get ahead, right? I mean, you're doing perfectly well. But just watch it. Let me know your thoughts. I mean, I would like, for me, it's not more important as to what exactly happens with, like, is it a good video, a bad video, or any of that. For me, it's more as to how can I help. That's more fun. Like, I tried keeping the video and audio and all of that within the same level, so it's pretty sorted out that way. Anyway, so let's get to your ADP question, because I also do want to speak about that, right? So Jason says I was really looking into that ADP to get a little under, but this shit isn't moving. It's annoying. That's actually true. And you know what? There's this thing that's been going on, right? If you see ADP going lower, you're going to see non-farm payroll going higher. And if you see ADP going higher, you're going to see a bad non-farm payroll number. Again, I don't buy that shit, but it's been working. And if it's working, then okay. It's going to work till it doesn't work. That being said, one of the things that did stand out in the ADP report, which was about small businesses. So small businesses are basically getting screwed. They're getting hammered left, right, and center. The amount of hiring was dropping by about 25, 30,000 in the small businesses. Now, small businesses being lower than, let's say, 5,000 number is what they were falling by. So anyone between 0 to 50 employees is taking a real bad hit, real bad hit. But I would also guess that would be the case because one, they don't have the financial wherewithal to deal with the storm. And two, they don't have the ability as well to hire if they're going through a tough spot. Their sales are going to be the first things that's going to get cut. So that is something that I was looking at as well, because I was under the impression saying ADP would have been a weaker number. I would still expect non-farm payroll to be a better number. The thing is, maybe we don't get 100K on the non-farm payroll, right? But you know what? I have stopped really caring about the non-farm payroll to that much of an extent, because it's just 200,000 jobs going up and down here and there. They will have a short-term effect, but over the long term, it's just noise when it's just like every month that you have, okay, we're off by 20,000, or we're on by 50,000, okay, we're off by 12,000. It's just absolute nonsense. If I'm a short-term trader, that's the only thing I'll look at. If I'm not, I couldn't really care, like in all honesty. It would be fine even if I didn't look at it, right? So the ADP, even I did believe that we would have a shitty number. I actually thought maybe we'll have a negative 10 or a negative 20. Didn't happen. And I think the markets were to some extent not giving a shit about the ADP number. I also believe they don't really give a damn about non-farm payroll. I think they actually care about the unemployment rate. That's my belief, and I would in general also care. If I had $1 billion to invest, I would be giving a damn about the unemployment rate more than anything else, right? If the unemployment rate starts picking up, right, all hell breaks loose if 4.2 is 4.4 on Friday. Do I see that happening? No. Is it too soon for it to happen? Yes. Trump tariffs are not going to be caused them coming back and people getting laid off in a month as well, right? It's basically not something that's going to happen. So small businesses will get affected. That is a number that I think would also have been, and the market is also, especially all the analysts and everyone else on Wall Street is also going to begin. They might not lower their number because they can't lower their number anymore, but the estimate wise. But you know, the estimate, I remember checking the estimate for non-farm payroll was about 125, 135 in that range, right? If the current estimate that you're looking for is going to be, let me just get the estimate number so we know what's happening, right? So for May, we had a forecast of 138. We came at 177. We're expecting 130K for June, right? Which basically comes out tomorrow. Or day after, sorry, on Friday. I would still say maybe we'll get 120, 130K. I'm saying even if we hit the estimate, we'll be doing well on the stock market. We wouldn't be bad. Now, why is that? Is because the ADP has created people to start believing that, okay, we might have a lower number, right? And if we do enter a lower number, which is around the 145, 150K, yeah, fair enough. We could head way higher, right? We need to break into all-time highs or above 6,000 on the S&P 500 as soon as possible. The longer we stay within this range of 5780 and 5975, right, the worse it's going to get for people to come in and continue buying. That is not something that we should be expecting, right? It is absolutely not something that should happen. It is just going to get, and I thought about this last night as well. I would be okay if we have a scenario where the market goes towards its all-time high, goes up 1%, and then falls 5%, rather than us falling down 5% from here, because under that scenario, we could be opening our doors to a lot more of uncertainty. That is genuinely not something that would be healthy for this market to keep going higher. So just something that I'm currently looking at. Let me just go over and do this as well so that the new peeps that join can basically go ahead and yeah. Jason says, I've always heard and believed in the slow grind and steadier compounding. I believe once anyone sees those 4-5 figures in weekly, then their head gets fucked, and even 5 to 10% daily does not excite. Yeah, that's true, man. I've been through that, so I'm not going to say that it doesn't happen. It surely does happen. The thing is that when you see these stocks, some of them that go up 7%, 8%, like from what I know, CoreWeave, right? I mean, this is something that people are going to get burnt someday or the other. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday. You saw it go all the way from 35 on 21st of April to 163 now. That is tough for me to even say, because what I'm trying to think about is the fact that if that's the case, someone is going to get very badly hurt when this thing comes back below 100. And will it? 100% it will. When? I have no clue. Can it go to 200 before that? Absolutely. Let's keep in mind that there is this whole NVIDIA craze, all of this that's happening. Another thing that people should realize is that Jensen is heading out to Paris for the GTC in Paris. That's, I think, on June 10th or 11th, from what I remember. Yeah, June 10th to June 12th. So again, he has his keynote as well out there. So he's again going to be bullish. I'm pretty sure he is also going to be, to some extent, also going to be trying to get the Eurozone to work with NVIDIA. and the semiconductor space in America, and that would technically be bullish because that can be a door opening into the Eurozone and America having their trade deals getting done. So that's surely something that I'm looking at, because June 10 to June 12th would be a fascinating scenario for Nvidia as a stock price. I think it could head towards the 145s, 147s and higher, especially with Meta now going with Constellation Energy and also buying in whatever electricity that they were anyways using from the dirty side now onto the clean side, because they need the credits. But then again, in all of that, the only thing that I come back to is that it's at this moment, it is looking, if I'm a long-term trader or a long-term investor, this doesn't matter. If I'm trading for the next 3 months, 2 months, the longer we stay in this range, it is going to get tougher, right? And that's what Jason's also been saying, right? The slow grind and steadier compounding. For the long-term guy, that's the best thing. For the short-term guy, that's going to kill him, because he's just going to get so irritated and then eventually sell out. That could mark the bottom into the next rally that can take us a lot higher, right? So that is something that I'm currently looking at. There is substantial amount of single stocks going crazy, substantial amount of multiple stocks just either being up less than a percent or flat, and that's not something that's good to see. When you're seeing the index also, we go down, we come back up. A lot of people say this is also a way where you're currently in a flag formation and all of those things. All those things don't really make too much of a difference, in all seriousness. Would I like to see either a breakdown or a breakout? Obviously, I would like a breakout, but would I mind a 2%, 3% correction and then a reversal back to all-time highs? That would be the best thing ever, because that would mean that when we do break out of the all-time highs, we can begin a rally all the way higher. We don't need to play this game of trying to, be like, when is it happening? When is it happening? Are we going to wait till the next earnings? Because remember, the closer we start getting towards the end of June, we're going to start getting closer to the beginning of the tariff nonsense that's going to come closer as well, right? Is he going to get a few deals done? Yeah, that's pretty much likely. He is going to get a few deals done. But I'm 100% certain that the market has already priced in a trade deal with India for sure. And they can keep saying, oh, it's very soon, but it's already priced in. That is not something that is rocket science. It's priced in already, right? Anyways, oh, hi there, Dikshan. Good morning. How's it going? Market breadth seems to be slacking in the last 3 to 4 trading days. Seems like the strength is simmering down. That is true. Let me also try being the devil's advocate to whatever I'm saying right now. We have had a massive rally, ridiculous rally. In all reality, if we are holding here, it's actually a better scenario than just breaking out completely, going gangbusters and then collapsing like there's no tomorrow. One silver lining in all of this is the volatility index. The volatility index has come down below 18. And let me be clear about this. Every time you see the volatility index below 18, below 19, below 20 for extended periods of time, you are going to start seeing bull markets getting ripe. It's what's happening right now, right? Other than CoreWeave, a lot of them, right? You look at Hood, you look at Robinhood, right? 72. You look at Palantir, 130. A lot of them have run up, right? From 75 all the way to 130 for Palantir. So there is a scenario where you will start seeing a lot of these stocks maybe take a breather. You don't want them to continuously keep going up to that much of an extent that you're now in a scenario where it's like the breadth is not exceedingly strong at this moment. Let me just make that clear, right? And I think, Jason, you were letting me know as well out there in that that you are begging for this to short or a pullback, right? Now, let's say if I was a trader, would I have shorted this market? Maybe not today, right? If I really had time on my side, I might just go short on core weave, right? Just for shits and giggles. But anyways, the market breadth is getting weaker. I completely agree what Dikshan's saying about that. And like he says, this consolidation seems a very good pre-rally pace. Agreed? The thing is, when I look at it, I do believe a lot of people are also thinking the same way, which is why they're staying invested. That we are going to get a big rally, and we very well might, right? I mean, I'm 100% long, so I'm not short at all. So for me, it's great. So if it just goes up, right? But I have to look at it from a scenario where I'm here to make money, right? The aim is to be proven right. And it is also to be proven right and the largest amount of money that you make when you're right. So when you're playing this game, you must realize that the largest, you in the short term at least, if you are trying to build a position, if you are trying to make some form of incremental return on your positions as well as your portfolio, you must distinguish yourself a bit from the crowd. But these are also the reasons why a bull market does not allow you to buy in. It is because they are so vicious that either you're buying already at the top, which is where I do believe a lot more people are going to come. Okay, let me break it down and just make it simple for you guys rather than beating around the bush. If we are going to start seeing the market go to 6,700, 7,000, and trust me, it seems ridiculous at this moment, but if we are looking at ourselves getting to 7,000 by this year end, which was my target for the next year end, if we are getting to it this year end, I would be very circumspect of the fact of the next 2 years being bullish years. Because for me, we would have eaten up a lot of the current returns in this year. So keep in mind that is my innately pessimistic brain thinking about a few things while being 100% long. This is how I think. I am most times 100% long, excluding if I keep cash on the side. I am at most times 100% long. But I am at most times, while being 100% long, also doubting every optimistic scenario. That is how I made my money, and that is how I will continue making my money, because I have always doubted what is going to happen in the future and acted today based on that. And 9 out of 10 times, each of those pessimistic beliefs that I have, I will never act on it on my portfolio unless I believe that it is going to be worse than what I have thought. Because my pessimistic scenario is always worse than what most people's pessimistic scenario is, right? So based on that, at the moment, I am worried about the risk on sentiment that is happening at the current rate that it's happening at. Am I worried about how it's going to be over the next 6 months? No. But if you have told me that you can see some form of a pullback, maybe 3%, maybe 4%, I would say that is by far the greatest gift you can get at this moment. Let me just get over these chats. Let's see what. Okay, let me see. Dikshan says this consolidation seems, yeah. Jason says, I don't know, call me crazy. There is just this crazy bullishness, and if not a crack, a test to the moving averages or a day or two red is nothing out of the expectations, or I'm only saying since I got money in. No, I agree with you. I'm 100% agreeing with you on the fact that some form of pullback is the healthiest way to head towards all-time highs. That I completely agree with. What I'm circumspect about, what I'm worried about, what I'm never going to lose sleep over this, but what I potentially could lose sleep over is the concept that the market might head to new highs and then drop 7-8%. That is worse than a, a drop today of 5% and then a rally back up, right? During the earnings season or during whenever July 4th and July 9th and all these other trade deals that are supposedly supposed to be happening, right? Dikshan says, as a thought exercise, how do you think Drunken Miller would be playing this right now? Wahab's in the house as well. Wahab, how's it going? I think a minor pullback, 5% should be coming. Yeah, I think, you know what, Wahab, you're right. I'm going to get to Dikshan's message. Let me just get this pullback because it's a shorter one. 5% should be coming in. I agree. It could. I mean, anything could happen. But here's something that I'm looking at. In a 5% pullback, you're going to see stocks getting decimated. If the S&P goes down by 5, the Nasdaq's going to go down by 7.5, 8. But that means stocks are going to be down 15%. At that moment, sell your house and buy Apple is what I would say, right? Seriously, I mean, that's what I would do if Apple's down half, down about 30. But that being said, so Dikshan says, as a thought exercise, how do you think Drunken Miller would be playing this right now? So from everything that I've read about Drunken Miller, he is so exceedingly dynamic in his thinking that at all points of time, like when he went short on treasuries, right, it was something that was so out of the ordinary that a lot of people would have questioned him for that. But you know, at the end of the day, like he says, it's about the amount of money you make when you're right, not about whether anything's going crazy. Right. Give me a second, guys. I just got a news saying Trump announces full travel ban on people from 12 countries, partial restriction on 7 countries to go effect into May. Let's actually check this out. Let's actually see what the hell this is. What does he mean by travel ban? Like, I mean, I understand if it's penguins in that island that has been stopped. Afghanistan, Myanmar, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, Haiti. Okay. 7 other countries being Turkmenistan, Cuba, Laos. Okay, forget it. Market's not going to care. Cool, doesn't matter. Yeah, that is just water under the bridge. Anyways, I thought it would be like a little bit more worse. Maybe some trade nonsense negotiation. That's why I stopped. Okay. Dikshant, let me get over the Drunken Miller thing because that's the most fascinating question I've got asked in a while. That requires a long, winded answer. Let me do that once I get to any of these questions. But if I don't, just drop in and say hello. So I'm going to do that then. Okay. I believe they won't drop it. Jason says, I believe they won't drop it so soon after going all-time highs. That's exactly what they did in February. Market makers won't allow it. I hope they don't. We all make a lot of money, right? With the way the fall has happened and with the way we've gone up all the way and with that speed, if we don't have a consolidation or a move higher, which breaks into all-time highs and stays there, we can see a 5-7% correction. So it is quite possible that that happens. Would I want, what do I believe is healthy? Is the market holding steady at these levels, either giving us a 2-3% pullback, coming back to its move back again and then breaking out, which I do see as the most likely scenario, unless and until something crazy happens in the world, right? Okay, if I had to put a gun to my head and put money on the line and invest, or if I had to trade, right? I would say by this month end, you would see all-time highs. Now, why do I say that? Few things that I'm thinking about. President Trump, President Xi, about to talk very soon. I keep hearing very soon every day. I'm not sure when that very soon is for both of them, but I'm guessing they would speak on it on a Friday or over the weekend. Trump's going to want to say he's got a win out of it. He's going to want to say the market's already built in a way where the trade deal with China will go through. Everyone knows that, including China and America knows that. But they've already built this negative sentiment around Trump and Xi because he's been tweeting saying he's a tough man to deal with. I like him. I've always liked him. I will continue liking him. It sounds like a stupid love story that's going on, but anyways. Both of them are going to come to terms on that call. And the Chinese will always make these guys believe that they will do whatever it takes to get that trade deal done. And they will let their people know that we will go through oppression, but we will not surrender. Trump will come out of it as saying that, great, I spoke to Xi, everything's great, all looks great, we're on great terms, things look great. And the market's going to start heading higher, right? Because that, according to me, the market has not discounted a great call between the two of them, which leads to progress in the trade deal. Scott Bessent said trade talks have stalled, it requires a call. Trump tweeted out saying that he's a tough man to deal with. So you have these kind of sentiment and signal indicators that have come saying that these are negative sides. The positive side can cause the market to head higher. So that is one of the reasons why I think the market's going to head higher. Two, I believe Jensen next week is going to come out and start being more bullish on Nvidia, bullish on the AI space, bullish on everything else that's there. So you will start seeing markets go higher accordingly as well. And when that happens, once markets go higher, once they start making new highs and all-time highs, I think that can happen in June. So I do believe we will see an all-time high before we see a 7%, 5% pullback, right? My issue is not with any of this. My issue is with the market staying where it is right now and not heading to all-time highs and not collapsing as well, or even having a pullback. That makes my pessimistic brain start thinking as to what is it that we're waiting for? What is it exactly that the market is currently waiting for? And should that be a reason that I start lightening up my positions? So that is what I think about. In the whole crux of the last 20 minutes of the sermon that I'm giving you on markets is that, should I start reducing my positions? Not shorting, but start sitting on cash to some extent, under the pretext that if you do see all-time highs come in and things go higher, great. If you don't, and there is a pullback, you have some form of money that you can start putting in, right? I've done this this is my 16th year doing this. And in every bull market, I have questioned myself, right? Every. And that is how it's going to be even 20 years from now. And you guys, everybody will, right? It's normal human behavior. But remember, you don't need to play from bottom tick to the top tick of a bull market. Always remember that. If you can get even 70% of a bull market in your portfolio and you're not an index fund investor, you will beat the index. Plain and simple. Do this in order for you to play the longer game. If you want to survive in this market, you want to thrive in this market for a longer period of time, remember, you don't need to be part of the whole party as well. You don't need to come in at 8 p.m. on the party and leave at 4. You can come in at 9:30, 10 and leave at 2 and reach home safely. That is the most important thing per se. The market is going to be there whether you're there or not. That is the important part. Always remember that. Which is why I keep thinking on a pessimism. And you guys are going to see this on every live stream, on every day, where the aim of this live stream is not for me to come and give you information about the market. It is for me to make you question yourselves in order to. The only way you're going to survive in this market is if you question yourself daily, right? Why do I do these live streams? Is because I can question myself. You guys get to question yourselves. The question here that we're asking each other is not that how are we wrong, how are we right. The question that we're asking is that if we're wrong, how are we protected? Because I don't care if we're right. If we're right, we're making money, right? We're going to be enjoying ourselves in some corner of France, right? It doesn't even matter. We could do that otherwise as well, but still. What I'm saying is always question yourself before you're wrong. And it is very likely that most people don't do that. So the only thing that I aim to do, the reason why I'm still doing this live stream 5 days of the week, there's not that much news that happens, right? The only reason why I tune in every week at the same time, every day at the same time, is because every day that I can speak with you guys, we can have chats, we can then question not just what the market thinks of where it is, but we can question ourselves and our portfolios as to what is it that we can necessarily go ahead and act upon, because the aim out here is not intellectual masturbation. All right, and you guys heard that right. The aim is not that. The aim is to make money when you're right. That's it. So protecting your portfolio at times always helps. I'll give you an example. Somewhere around April, when I was lightening up my positions before this tariff nonsense, and when I started buying in again, it was somewhere around April 8th, April 9th. And a large part of my portfolio was on cash around the April period and then towards the end of the first. And trust me, I have zero inside knowledge. You guys even know that about it now. But we were able to time the entry into our portfolio for stocks somewhere around a few hours before Trump tweeted saying, big news incoming, right? And it just worked out and markets went up. But they went up so much that I started getting a bit worried and I again pared down some of my positions. And over some period of time, when these China retaliations and all of that happened, and then you had this China thing that happened, it started getting to my head saying that, you know what, this just seems a little too crazy. I don't really think it's going to get that bad. And I started putting my positions back on. Now, in all of these times, I kept questioning each of those decisions as to why. Now, here's the crux. If I stopped giving a shit about all of these things and just stayed put, would I have made more money? Possibly. Maybe. Right? If I had not done that, to a large extent, if I had not questioned myself, what we went through in that April fall on portfolios, I didn't necessarily go through it that much because I was more than 50% cash before the big huge fall that happened. Right? Somewhere around March is when I sold out. A large percentage, very large percentage, maybe even 70-75% cash at that moment. Right? And I had heavy options as well at that moment. So I had to pare all of that down. But if I didn't question myself then, and a lot of people had asked me at different times saying, you know what, if you held on to these positions, you would have made more money. I said, you know what, guys, let me tell you one thing. Everyone that talks about this concept saying, you know what, when you see your portfolio down, don't look, and then when it goes back up, you will make a lot more. Based on the fact that you didn't sell, because just like we're questioning ourselves right now saying, are we going to be heading to all-time highs or no? We would be worried and shit scared at that time on April 7th, 8th, April 2nd to 7th, when the markets came crashing down and being like, this can get uglier than usual. In hindsight, it looks like, yes, it was so easy. Everybody knew things would get sorted out. All of it was great. Never had to worry about anything, right? This was not a COVID scenario. Let me be honest. In COVID, I was buying like crazy because it was a binary option. Either I was going to die because of COVID, and we all were, and then the stock markets would not be of concern to any of us, Or some of us would survive and the stock market would survive, while most of us survived and the market just went higher and higher, right? This was not a binary outcome in April. This shit could have lasted for 6 months before it could have gotten better. The only reason why I went back in and bought was because I realized that all said and done, the move that has happened from 0 to 145 by China and America is a 6-month period becoming a 1-month period or a 15-day period, whatever it was. That's the reason why I entered in and bought. So today when I question myself, the only reason why I do these live streams again and question myself is because I want to know at the end of all of this, are we getting some signal from this which realizes the fact that at some stage you must know when to pull out, right? In all essences of life. So that's just something that that's the reason why I do these lives. I mean, in all honesty, there's not that many things to keep talking about in terms of, oh, Elon's fighting with Trump and they have their own issues and all that. How much are we going to talk about it, right? It's about the fact that when we can come together, we can think of things, we can sit and analyze this scenario as to if tweaking our portfolios protects us, there is sanity in doing that, plain and simple. Jason says we might grind up all summer to all-time highs, probably making new all-time highs all the way to 6,500 and burning every shot on the side. Absolutely agreed, bro. Absolutely agreed. Do I think that's going to happen? I would say that's a 60-40 in my head that it is going to happen, right? The only reason that I'm worried about is that when that happens, 6,500 can see 5,500 in 3 months post that happen. That is what I'm worried about. And my job for myself and my portfolio is to worry about what happens months from now, if not years from now. And how do I protect myself, or how do I build the intestinal fortitude in me that when that day comes, am I going to act the way I had planned? That is the important part, right? Now, in the starting part of my life and my career when I was trading and investing, this was how I learned my mistakes. In today's day and age, I plan my moves ahead. If this happens, this is how I react. If this happens, this is how I react, because then I know that I had thought about it and this is how I will. Granted, I'm never going to be 100% right in doing that, but even if I can get it right 4 out of 5 times, 3 out of 5 times, my returns will be 1.5 to 2x more than the market. As of today, for the past 15 years, my CAGR is about 2.2 times of the index of the NASDAQ 100. So the past 3 years also, when the index has given about actually have this year, hold up. Yeah, so like from somewhere around February 2024, let me look at that. That's what I have here, pretty easily available. The index is up about 18.53% on the NASDAQ 100, right? My portfolio is up about 56%, right? I'm not interested in trying to get 200, 300%. If I can beat the index by 2x, exceedingly job well done for me. And in all seriousness, even if I can get 25% returns every year, 22, 25% return, I'm done. I'm game, right? I don't want that 5x play every year. It's not my ball game. It's not my interest. Again, this is all realized profit to a certain extent, so it's going to be way higher than what it is because I move my money as well. But anyways, that's not the crux of this story. Let's see what's happening. Wahab says he's bought some puts on the triple Q expiring 31st of July, just as a simple hedge. Yeah, that's true. That's a smart thing to do, bro. Maybe look at this. I was actually telling this on a live stream to someone else. Sometimes it does make sense to buy volatility rather than going directly short. This is something that I've learned and gotten my hands burnt far too many times in shorter dated options. So look at this as a scenario. Maybe you could also look at buying yourself August or September volatility index calls. if you do believe we are going to see some form of a pullback, you will have to see higher volatility, because we're not going to get a 5% pullback on. You're either going to get it for three reasons, right? In my head, Trump comes out and says something which is crazy, right? That's going to increase volatility to a crazy extent. So you're going to see a 25-30 handle on the volatility index. The second reason that I do believe that Trump can come out, not Trump, sorry, but you can see the unemployment rate or non-farm payrolls or something go crazy. And if that happens, the Fed needs to react. Again, you're going to start seeing the volatility index shoot up. And the third and the only reason that's left is earnings revisions, right? The third reason, earnings revisions, it wouldn't happen so soon. It would take a while before that happens. But the first two can happen at the whiff of a dime, right? I mean, it could just happen like this. You don't even know what's hit anybody. So that's sometimes a good way to look at investments or trading, especially, is that if you are a bit worried about volatility, maybe go ahead and get some of your positions into the volatility index rather than triple Q puts, right? Because you can have one particular stock, like let's say, I'll give you an example. You could have a 5-7% move on Nvidia, and that could take the NASDAQ higher but the Dow lower. And then you're playing this game as to saying, oh, but directionally you were right, but the aim is to make money, right? So just look at that. I mean, I'm not saying you should do it, but have a look at that. It's not something that is out of the ordinary to think of shorting. Most people don't think of it. That's why I'm saying think of that. And you can get volatility on both sides, right? So in a way that helps as well. A lot of people take for granted the benefit of the volatility index we have. Let's actually go over and see what else happened, right? One of the most, by far, the most beautiful things that I've seen happen in the past 24 hours is the 10-year bond yield. The 10-year bond yield cratered 2.27%. We were talking about it exactly 2.5 days back on the live. And it was just absolutely gorgeous to have said that, hey, if we break 4.4, we're down. We're going to come easily to 4.25. So it's just maybe one of those things that are just absolutely magical to see happen. Like, there is nothing the market wants more right now than a lower 10-year bond yield. Nothing I want more also, in all seriousness. Let me actually go. So if you guys have anything more to like, any questions, anything, just go ahead, drop it in. Just going to go over a few things to see what's happening. That bond yield move just made my day. Just absolutely made my day yesterday. Okay. I mean, while we say all of this, you could just see the Nasdaq go up this week or next week, all the way up to. It's like 2.4% away. It's not really rocket science. You could get some guy saying something crazy, and you could be at 22,000 in the whiff of a dime, right? I mean, tomorrow itself. You know, I love the fact that how this current live session was more towards mentally being stronger in bull markets. And the fact that we're not just out here saying, okay, great, let's just clap for everybody. That's just, we're all just making money. Yes, we are making money. That's a separate story. The question is that how do we make sure we don't lose more? Right? That's going to be the differentiating factor. go ahead and have a look at what else is currently going on. Yeah, so the VIX is down to 17.6, right? I mean, long-term average is 19. You're still looking at it at 17. I mean, that's saying something, right? So Trump puts in a ban. Yeah, fair enough. Let me see what else is currently going on. Yeah, I think the best thing for the stock market right now is just Trump just sticking to his fight against the universities. That'll just be better for all of us. There'll be no nonsense that goes on. It's simpler. Let's actually go ahead. I did see some news yesterday about the fact that China was thinking of making a large order purchase for a lot of the Boeing planes. So that could be worthwhile. I mean, they could say all of this stuff that they say against Trump, and then Trump could say everything that he says against everybody else. But at the end of it, if you are seeing some signs where they're buying products, these guys are buying something, some farmer produce here and there that goes around, you know what? The deal's done. Right. And most likely, China's not going to stick to that deal. So who gives a shit then? Because if the aim is to not stick to the deal, you'll just sign to any deal that you get. One other thing that I was looking at was the Elon and Musk, Elon and Trump feud that's been happening. Could that spell into something more? Yeah, it could. Because I don't think Trump realizes that at the end of it, he is the president, so he'll do whatever he wants. Trump also realizes that he doesn't need Elon's money anymore. And to some extent, increasing that federal deficit by 3 trillion over the next 10 years. I don't think that's too bad. I think it's more hurting Elon than anybody else's because he's like, hey, listen, I came and I saved so much of your money through Doge, and now you're just like finding another way to pop this head out again and be like, we got to spend, right? The end of all of this, I have a belief that Elon and Trump, they'll come together and sort their shit out. And if they don't, I would still be exceedingly bullish on the market purely because of the reason that we're about a year and 3-4 months away from midterm elections. So in order for him to have enough power in the White House again, he would require a lot of these guys to come back in and have some form of support. Would he need Elon at that moment? I'm pretty likely he will, because otherwise he's not going to win as much as he won then, right? And I'll tell you one thing. Think of it this way, right? And this should be the reason all of you guys go ahead and subscribe. At the moment, the market wants one thing from the government: to do nothing. Literal stalemate. That's my belief that the midterm elections is going to come out because everyone's going to vote for their sides. And now some of those Democrats that went in and vote for Republicans might come back and now vote for Democrats again because they're like, this is just crazy. Some of those Republicans might come in and vote for Democrats because they're like, our guys have gone crazy as well. So you might get to some form of a hung situation. You might get some form of a place where no one is in power of either of the two houses, either of the House or the Senate. And because of that, nothing can get bloody well passed. And if nothing can get passed, the market will rally because the market has had enough of uncertainty. The certainty of nothing happening would make us see, don't hold me to it, but an 8,000 on the S&P 500 in 2 years from now. I don't see a reason why it cannot happen if we have a stalemate in the House and the Senate. The midterm elections would be, I believe, the most bullish thing the market could have ever asked for in 2026 November. Now, from now till then, that's a large amount of time, and what happens, who knows, right? But my bets are on the fact that it's looking pretty likely that a stalemate in the House and the Senate is just going to be the best thing that could ever happen. By far, bar none. Absolutely, by far, bar none. Just something for you guys to look into and just think about this, right? If nothing gets cleared, what the administration wants post November 2026, no news is good news. That's the crux of this whole story. Literal no news is good news. That's what will be happening. And I don't think any of us want anything more than that at this moment, because the market itself would be like, hey, you know what, if these guys can't do anything and what's currently there is great, which would be this big beautiful bill that he's talking about, because that would be the only thing that's there. You got the tax cuts, you got the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on social security, you got all of that, you got some deregulation in, you got your tax cuts in, your tariffs nonsense is out by November next year. You can't hurt the economy that much, you can't hurt the governments that much. It's just crazy that way to not think of that, right? We need to change the thumbnail. Yeah, man, we got to do that. I'm going to think of that as well. You're right. Got to get some. Yeah, Marcus baiting chumps every day. Might as well bait some. Fair enough. Let's change it. Yeah, we'll change it. Let me speak to some guys and see what we can come up with. Some new pictures. Maybe. Get some people in. For me, I just like keeping it the same thing and just keep going with it, because I'm like, it's just consistency in my head. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Let's try. There's no harm in trying. So yeah, the Elon and Trump shit's going to get pretty sorted out pretty soon. So I'm not really worried about that. Midterm elections, like I've been saying, is going to be maybe the most bullish sentiment that's going to be there. I don't see, again, a reason for why market should be worrying about any of these data points as of today. But this is what I'm saying, right? Short term, we should be a bit worried. Long term, nah, it's all game, all right? Midterm elections and post that is going to be the most bullish time for us. All said and done. All said and done. I'm certain about that. Let me just go ahead and see what else has been happening in this world. The dollar yen did come down. Now, that's something that I don't want to see, especially considering the safe haven status that the yen has, especially in a booming market. One of the things that I wanted to go and see, crypto has been dead. That's pretty much dead. Is the move on silver. That's been something that's been worthwhile to watch. All right, let me go see what's happening with the, yeah, so all cool. Right, I actually do believe that silver could be getting itself ready for a massive bull market. So that's that at this moment. Anyway, so we should pretty much be good to go. I think we're all good. Let me just go ahead and see what's happening with that poll as well. You guys have anything you guys want to talk about? We can continue. I'm just going to wait in for a few minutes to see if you guys have something. Otherwise, we'll call it a day. You guys should enjoy your Thursday night and Wednesday night, sorry, with family. Have some fun. And we'll tune back in tomorrow. Same goddamn time, right? Let's do that. Okay. I think I'm going to shift back to the vertical from tomorrow. Let's see how that works out. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Let's connect soon. Take care, guys.